and you're in my quilting studio, Stitched by Susan. Gosh, the glasses sure do glare. I have windows facing me and I tried to lower the blinds, but it's just not helping that much. So sorry about that. Anyway, welcome to my studio. It's a Thursday, almost noon for me. I'm in Pacific time, and I am going live every day, Monday through Saturday, for about a month. So this is day 3, just talking about quilting topics that are sort of everyday topics, things that come up in my quilting studio with projects that I'm working on for me or for clients, and hopefully are of interest to some of you who work on the same types of quilts that I do. I see Kirsten tuning in from Germany. Awesome. Well, it won't be noon for you, will it be? I was on a river cruise, just got home on Sunday actually, and was in Germany, and that was so fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Bobbing with Brittany, Doreen, good. Everyone's seeing me going live. Okay, one more time. I'm Susan Smith. You're in my studio, Stitched by Susan, talking in some daily impromptu lives, casual lives at least, about quilting topics, running the gamut. And by the way, at any time, I welcome you to put in your comments on these episodes, things that you'd like to talk about, topics you'd like to see me address, or questions that you have. So today, I entitled it Bring a Whole New Level of Wonky. So what prompted this is I'm setting up a quilt for tomorrow's live streaming episode, which I do on YouTube 1 or 2 Fridays a month. I live stream quilting on an actual project. So planning which one I'm going to do. I had my client quilts pretty much caught up before I went on my trip, so I decided it's a great time to do one of my quilts. I can't show you the whole thing because it's huge, but I'll show you pieces of it so you get an idea. It's a bit 90s era. I got this quilt top at a garage sale. I love garage sales, estate sales, those sorts of things. I think I paid $40 for it. It's huge. It's 87 inches by 106. Now, here's where the wonky comes in. It's got, let me see if I can show you. It's got 8 borders in total. It's like a sampler on the inside, squares set on point, meaning, you know, turning kind of diamond shaped. And then it's got all these borders. Can you see that? All of those are borders. And when I looked at it folded at the garage sale, the sewing looks like it's high quality. The seams appear to be flat. It's pressed well, all of that. But when I got home and folded the whole thing out flat on my floor, I realized quickly that the sewer pieced that central portion, and then their borders, and there are 8 of them, all get progressively a tiny bit tighter. So it's not obvious in the seams. You don't see heavy easing. What I'm guessing happened is they took slightly generous seam allowances. So with every one of those 8 seams, you lost maybe a 1/4 inch on the length of the quilt. Times repeated. So long story short, when I say it's 87 by 106, that's the outer border. But if I pull the central areas out flat, there's 5 more inches in width and 7 more inches in length. We're talking a whole mountain landscape of extra fabric in the middle. So I don't think I've ever quilted a quilt that has that much wonkiness that I want to ease in. So those of you who've watched me for any length of time know this is kind of my specialty, working with a bit wonky quilts and just getting the best possible results I can for quilts that have, I don't know, don't lay flat or aren't well pressed or have some wonky seams or whatever. But this is a whole new level, really, truly it is. So I'm gonna chat today just about a few ways that you can avoid this to begin with, to not have the problem, and then a few ways that you can address it when it comes to quilting at the long arm specifically. And then I'll tell you a little bit about tomorrow's live stream episode. So if you want to see some of these things in action and fire some questions at me, you're welcome to do that and join tomorrow. Okay, let's just look back at a few of the comments in case there are any about this. Hello. Ellie, Annette, Nita, Jean, Foxy Vacation, love it. Working on a wonky quilt now, a charity quilt I picked up from a guild meeting, Bernina Q20 long arm. You know, charity quilts from guild meetings are a great way to train yourself on wonkiness because they tend to be that way. And it's okay. It's a way to teach yourself ways to cope with all this stuff on fairly small projects, right? Nancy and Kirsten. Oh yes, it's evening and the Rhine River is not so far away from me, and that's of course where I was, or one of the rivers I was on. Alice Gens, I know Alice. Foxy Vacation, the one I have is several jelly roll strips sewn together all from the same side. So the strips, yep, I get the picture quickly. And Bobbin with Brittany says, oh, wow, a tent. Yeah, it is. It really is. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so here are my top tips. The first tip would be how to avoid this problem in the first place. Because I think we did have an experienced person sewing. Like I said, the seams are neat and flat and well pressed and appear to lay perfectly flat. The key is to measure your finished portion. So in this case, it would have been measure that sampler bit in the middle and be honest about it and cut the borders to fit what you have. Don't cut by what the pattern says, right? Because 1/8 or 1/4 of an inch multiplied by several borders is where the problem came into play. And so every time a new border was added, that measuring should have taken place again. And if you had seen by border number 1 or 2 that a little bit of humping was happening right away, you would back off slightly on your seam allowance or cut your borders a tiny touch longer. Seriously, 1/8 or 1/4 of an inch multiplied over all those borders would have fixed this. So it was a cumulative problem and the person probably didn't see it. And also because the quilt is so big, perhaps they didn't even have a way to lay it out totally flat and look at it. I don't know, but it is what it is. I don't know who sewed it, so hopefully I'm not stepping on their toes. Hopefully they're not listening, but if they are, take some tips, okay? Anyway, in terms of how I'm going to deal with this at the quilting machine, one of them is, because it's so large, I debated which way I want to load it, right? So for my backing, I'm cutting it from yardage and I need to, my quilt is long, 106, right? So I'm going to have 3 pieces of fabric for the backing. If I had my druthers, I would load my quilt this way, long ways along the long arm rails, because I can see more of it and I felt like that would help me ease it. But the idea of having those seam allowances running perpendicular to my rails and try to roll that backing on smooth, I feel like is a deterrent. So I'm in fact going to load my quilt right side up so that the seams run parallel to the rails. I feel like that will just eliminate one problem in terms of rolling it on, and I'll just have to deal with that excess fabric. The other thing I'm going to do is painstakingly, every time I advance the quilt, I'm going to pull up all that inner bit. Like there's gonna be fluff on top of the long arm, like where I'm working. I know there is, but I can't smooth it down or I'm all of a sudden going to have one huge problem that I literally can't ease in. So it's critical that I keep that center up and watch the seam lines, the block points, whatever I can find that gives me a guideline to get that stuff eased up in it. Secondly, I probably will not attach my quilt at the front rail. If you've watched me quilt, you know I have these magnetic bars I put on there, or I talk about other ways to clamp and hold that so your quilting can't pull up. Well, in fact, I want my quilting to pull up. The more the merrier, right? So I'm going to leave those magnetic bars off. I'm just going to keep an eye on it, right? But I'm going to let that work in my favor, pulling the quilt up a little bit. Number 3 or 4, I'm not sure where I'm at next. I am definitely going to quilt with a curvy design. It's going to be a variation on feathers. I call it a plume. It's my own design, but a lot of quilters do a variation of it. But in any event, it's got a lot of small curves, and those will help to pull in the quilting. Something that I thought about doing was putting either a super puffy batting in it or putting 2 layers of batting in it. That fluffiness can help take up excess as well, right? Just because it fills it and it just aids in pulling that excess in. Couple things against that. Number 1, I don't own any super puffy batting, like probably it would be a polyester or maybe a wool, but I don't happen to have any wool on hand. I don't love polyester, so I don't want that. Thought about doing 2 layers of batting. And this is where you weigh things. It's a matter of opinion. In my opinion, because this quilt is so big, 2 layers of batting would help take up the fluffiness, but would result in a quilt that's so heavy, heavy to sleep under, enormously heavy and huge to try to wash. I thought that's a deterrent for me. I'd rather deal with the fluffy and 1 layer of batting. So that's what I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm going to load it up and I'm going to try and we'll see how it goes. Okay. Let's see what's coming in for comments. Nita, that's a real challenge. Yes, it is. We'll see how tomorrow quilting goes. Kirsten, I have a wonky quilt waiting for me. Honestly, I don't know. I recommend don't be scared of them. You'll learn a lot by working with wonky quilts. So don't be scared of them. We talked earlier about getting charity type quilts from guilds. Often they're looking for quilting to be done. Often the piecing is a bit sketchy or the fabric content is a bit weird or whatever. It is a great way though to challenge yourself to learn how to deal with some of these things on fairly small quilts. I'm committing myself to a great big one. However, like I said, I acquired this at a garage sale. I don't have a ton of time or I don't have a client's, care or time invested in it. So it's a great one to try this on. And if I get a pleat or two, it's not going to break my heart, right? So it's a good one to try these things on. Karen's asking, how would you quilt a log cabin baby quilt? Oh my gosh, there's a million ways to quilt a baby quilt. I just did one yesterday, actually. It's a wall hanging, but kind of baby quilt sized, and it was set up like a diamond. And so in the darks of the log cabins, I did a feather kind of spiral. And in the in-between parts, I did more straight line back and forths. And it looks really nice. It gets that little contrast. So that's an idea. Nancy's asking, would you steam the center part to shrink it or ease it? I have not had really good luck with steam reducing like a whole quilt size. It works if you've got one piece, that's my opinion, okay, that you want to kind of pull into space. I may try, however, because I do have a big floor area in my studio, I may try spraying like an aerosol spray starch over it and letting it dry overnight. That does in fact pull it in. It also, as you might imagine, starches it a little bit. So, that too, it's got its pros and its cons. I don't know. I'm pretty used to just working with the fabric and dealing with it. So I'll think on it for today. We'll see. I'll let you know in the morning. Quilting on, greetings from Oregon. Good, good, good. Okay, so that's kind of it for my chat on Wonky to a whole new level. But just to reiterate again, I'm going to be loading this quilt yet today, and I'll be working on it tomorrow in my live stream session. Now, because it is a huge quilt, there's absolutely no way I could finish the whole thing. So I think I'm going to already have it loaded and already be quilting so that I can talk about some of the processes of dealing with the wonky within my current advance, right? We'll see how it goes. I don't usually choose a quilt this big because it can be hard even to show on camera. But again, I know that we deal with these things. So that's kind of what my live show is all about, trying to share with you how I cope with this stuff. So Foxy Vacation, for my little baby charity one, I did have luck using the iron and steam to straighten the rolls a bit more, but it's really small. Yeah, different people have talked about steam. I feel like if I'm going to steam it, I might actually do that on the long arm, right? Because I think if you handle it, it's going to stretch back out to its original proportion. The key would be to get it sitting on the long arm and a little bit squunched in and then attach steam and that kind of pulls it. I don't know. That's what it feels like to me. So I do have the Laura Star iron. You can almost see it over my shoulder, which has a high level of steam output. I may give that a try on some of my advances. Like I said, this is a quilt that is not dear to my heart. So it's a great one to experiment on and see what works. Kirsten, be watching tomorrow. Good, good. Okay, so tomorrow's live stream is going to be at 9 a.m. Pacific time, which is kind of my most common time. I've been playing around with doing them later in the day too, but the truth of the matter is it is just so subject to my husband's and my work schedules and other things that are happening in our life. So tomorrow it's going to be at 9 a.m. Pacific time. I will be sending out a newsletter yet today with a little more details and clickable links and so forth for that. So check on the YouTube channel at any given moment. Once I get it set up, you'll see it there and you can see exactly what time it is in your time zone. So again, thanks for joining me. These little live snippets are coming to you every day, Monday through Saturday for a month. This is day number 3. And these are informal topics, just things that I'm working on in my studio or questions that you have. So feel free to comment at any time. I do read the comments, do my best to respond there, but at least if you have questions, put them there and I'll capture those and address some of those questions in upcoming live sessions. So thanks for joining me and have a fabulous day. I'll see you tomorrow.